Chapter 1. Discovery of Betrayal. Andrew Bennett sat at his desk, staring at his computer screen, but his mind was elsewhere. He couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off with his wife, Lauren. Their relationship had been strained lately, with Lauren being distant and secretive. Andrew's suspicions had been gnawing at him for weeks. The sudden ring of his phone snapped him out of his thoughts. He glanced at the caller ID and saw an unfamiliar number. Hesitantly, he picked up the phone. "Hello, this is Andrew," he said. "Mr. Bennett, this is Emily Cooper. We need to talk," a woman's voice replied, sounding urgent. "Emily Cooper. I'm sorry, I don't think we've met." "What is this about?" Andrew asked, his curiosity piqued. "It's about your wife, Lauren, and my husband, Ryan. Can we meet in person?" "It's important," Emily insisted. Andrew's heart skipped a beat. He felt a knot forming in his stomach. "All right, where and when?" "How about the coffee shop on Fifth Avenue in an hour?" Emily suggested. "Okay, I'll be there," Andrew agreed, hanging up the phone. His mind raced with possibilities, none of them good. An hour later, Andrew walked into the coffee shop, scanning the room for a woman he didn't know. His eyes settled on a brunette sitting alone in a corner booth, nervously stirring her coffee. He approached her. "Emily?" he asked. She looked up, her eyes filled with a mix of determination and anxiety. "Andrew, please have a seat." Andrew sat down, his heart pounding. "What's this about?" Emily took a deep breath. "I found out that my husband, Ryan, has been having an affair with your wife, Lauren. I discovered text messages on his phone. He doesn't know that I know." Andrew felt like the ground had been pulled out from under him. He struggled to find his voice. "Are you sure? This can't be true." Emily pulled out her phone and showed him the messages. The evidence was undeniable. There were messages detailing secret rendezvous, affectionate terms, and plans to meet at a motel. Andrew's hands shook as he read the messages. I don't know what to say. How long has this been going on?" "From what I can tell, at least 6 months," Emily said, her voice trembling. Andrew leaned back in his seat, trying to process the information. "Why did you come to me with this?" "Because I think we deserve to know the truth, and I think we should confront them together," Emily said, her eyes blazing with a mix of hurt and anger. Andrew nodded slowly. "All right, what do you propose we do?" Emily laid out her plan. "We'll track their movements and catch them in the act. I have access to Ryan's work schedule and his phone's location through our shared account. We can follow them and gather evidence." Andrew agreed, feeling a strange sense of solidarity with Emily. They exchanged contact information and made plans to meet again. As Andrew left the coffee shop, his mind was a whirlwind of emotions. Betrayal, anger, and a burning desire for the truth drove him forward. At home, Lauren was already in bed when Andrew arrived. He quietly slipped into the bedroom, watching her for a moment. She looked peaceful, innocent even, but the weight of what he had learned pressed heavily on him. He lay down beside her, staring at the ceiling, his mind racing with thoughts of their upcoming confrontation. The next few days were a blur. Andrew and Emily stayed in constant contact, sharing updates and coordinating their plans. Emily managed to track Ryan's movements and discovered that he and Lauren were planning to meet at a motel on Thursday afternoon. On the appointed day, Andrew called in sick to work. He met Emily a few blocks away from the motel, both of them nervous but resolute. They parked their car discreetly and waited. Time seemed to crawl as they sat in silence, the tension palpable. Finally, they saw Lauren's car pull into the motel parking lot. She stepped out, looking around nervously before heading inside. A few minutes later, Ryan arrived and followed her in. Andrew's heart pounded in his chest. "This is it," he said, his voice tight with emotion. Emily nodded, her face set in determination. They got out of the car and walked towards the motel, their steps synchronized. They reached the door of the room Lauren and Ryan had entered and paused. Andrew took a deep breath and knocked on the door. Moments later, it opened, revealing Lauren's shocked face. "Andrew, what are you doing here?" she stammered. "I could ask you the same thing," Andrew replied, his voice cold. "May we come in?" Lauren hesitated, then stepped aside, allowing Andrew and Emily to enter. Ryan was standing by the bed, his face pale. "What is this?" Ryan demanded, trying to sound authoritative but failing miserably. This is a reckoning, Emily said, her voice shaking with barely controlled rage. We know everything. Andrew looked at Lauren, his heart breaking. Why, Lauren? Why would you do this to us? Lauren looked down, unable to meet his gaze. I don't know, it just happened. Andrew felt a surge of anger. Just happened? For 6 months? Emily stepped forward, her voice steely. We have evidence. We've tracked your meetings, read your messages. There is no denying it. Ryan tried to protest, but Andrew cut him off. Save it, Ryan. We're not here to listen to excuses. Lauren finally looked up, tears streaming down her face. Andrew, I am so sorry. I never meant to hurt you. Andrew's anger softened slightly, but the pain remained. It is too late for apologies, Lauren. You betrayed me. Emily turned to Ryan. And you betrayed me. This ends now. The confrontation was raw and painful, with emotions running high. After what felt like an eternity, Andrew and Emily left the motel, their hearts heavy but their resolve stronger. Back in the car, Andrew looked at Emily. What now? Emily sighed. Now we take the next steps. We gather our evidence and we end this chapter of our lives. Andrew nodded, feeling a sense of grim determination. They had a long road ahead, but they would face it together, united in their quest for truth and justice. As they drove away from the motel, Andrew glanced at Emily and felt a flicker of hope. They had been brought together by betrayal, but perhaps in the end, they would find a way to heal and move forward. Chapter 2. Conspiracy Unveiled. Andrew Bennett sat at his kitchen table, the early morning light filtering through the curtains, casting a soft glow on the untouched cup of coffee in front of him. He had barely slept the night before, his mind replaying the confrontation with Lauren and Ryan over and over. The sense of betrayal still gnawed at him, but beneath the hurt and anger, there was a determination to see this through. His phone buzzed, breaking the silence. It was a message from Emily Cooper. We need to meet. I have more information. Can you come to my place? Andrew responded quickly, On my way. As he drove to Emily's house, he couldn't help but think about how surreal the past few days had been. Just a week ago, he had been blissfully ignorant of Lauren's betrayal. Now, his life was a whirlwind of emotions and clandestine meetings. Emily lived in a modest 2-story house on a quiet suburban street. Andrew parked his car and walked up to the front door, which opened before he could knock. Emily stood there, looking just as tired and determined as he felt. Come in, she said, stepping aside. They settled in her living room, the air thick with unspoken words. Emily handed him a folder. I did some digging. These are the records of their meetings, messages, everything I could find. I thought we might need more evidence. Andrew flipped through the documents, his anger simmering just beneath the surface. This is thorough. How did you get all this? Emily gave a small, humorless smile. Ryan and I share a lot of digital accounts. It wasn't hard to track his movements and retrieve his messages once I knew what to look for. Andrew nodded, his respect for Emily growing. So, what is our next move? Emily took a deep breath. We need to confront them legally. We have enough evidence to file for divorce on the grounds of adultery. But I also think we need to make sure they understand the gravity of what they've done. Andrew agreed. I am with you. Let's make this as impactful as possible. They need to feel the consequences of their actions. They spent the next few hours strategizing, going over the evidence and discussing their legal options. Emily's determination and meticulous planning impressed Andrew. They were both committed to seeing this through to the end. As they wrapped up their discussion, Emily looked at Andrew thoughtfully. There is something else. I think we should let them think they are still in control for a little while longer. We can use that time to prepare and catch them off guard. Andrew raised an eyebrow. What do you have in mind? Emily smiled, a glint of mischief in her eyes. Let's keep up appearances, act like everything is normal. We can track their next meeting and plan a bigger confrontation, something that will really drive the point home. Andrew nodded slowly. I see where you are going with this. We'll need to be careful, but I think it could work. They agreed to meet again in a few days to finalize their plans. As Andrew drove home, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. He wasn't just a victim of betrayal anymore, he was taking control of the situation. The following days were tense. Andrew and Lauren S. interactions were strained, but he forced himself to act as normal as possible. Lauren, seemingly oblivious to his knowledge of her affair, continued her deceitful routine. Andrew and Emily communicated regularly, exchanging updates and refining their plan. They discovered that Lauren and Ryan were planning another rendezvous at the motel the following week. It was the perfect opportunity to put their plan into action. On the day of the meeting, Andrew told Lauren he had a work engagement and would be home late. She seemed relieved, not realizing he was using the time to prepare for their confrontation. Andrew met Emily at a cafe near the motel, both of them nervous but resolute. They waited until Lauren and Ryan arrived, then followed them discreetly. Once they were inside the motel room, Andrew and Emily positioned themselves nearby, ready to spring their trap. Andrew glanced at Emily, who nodded. He took a deep breath and knocked on the door. It opened a moment later, revealing Ryan S.'s startled face. "Andrew? What are you doing here?" Ryan stammered. Andrew pushed past him, Emily close behind. Lauren was sitting on the bed, her eyes wide with shock. "What is this?" she demanded. "This is us, finally taking control," Andrew said coldly. "We know everything, and now it's time for you to face the consequences." Emily stepped forward, her voice steady. "We've tracked your meetings, read your messages. There's no more hiding." Ryan tried to bluster his way out. "You have no right to be here." Emily's eyes flashed with anger. "We have every right. You betrayed us, and now you're going to pay for it." Lauren started to cry, but Andrew felt no sympathy. "We are done, Lauren. You can lie your way out of this." The confrontation was intense, emotions running high as truths were laid bare. Andrew and Emily made it clear that they were proceeding with divorce and would use all the evidence they had gathered to ensure the outcomes were in their favor. As they left the motel, Andrew felt a strange sense of relief. The hardest part was over, and now they could focus on moving forward. In the car, Emily turned to Andrew. "What now?" Andrew sighed. "Now we see this through to the end. We gather our evidence, meet with our lawyers, and make sure they understand just how badly they messed up." Emily nodded. "I am glad we are in this together, Andrew." "Me too, Emily. Me too." As they drove away, Andrew couldn't help but feel a sense of camaraderie with Emily. They had been brought together by betrayal, but they were united in their quest for justice. And perhaps, through this ordeal, they would find a way to heal and start anew. Chapter 3. Setting the Trap. Andrew Bennett awoke the next morning with a renewed sense of determination. The confrontation at the motel had been a significant step, but it was just the beginning. He knew that the path ahead would be challenging, but with Emily by his side, he felt more capable of facing it. As he got ready for work, Andrew's thoughts drifted to Lauren. She had left early that morning, avoiding any interaction with him. The tension between them was palpable, and it was clear that their marriage was on the brink of collapse. At the office, Andrew found it difficult to concentrate. His mind kept wandering back to the plan he and Emily had devised. They needed to gather more evidence, confront their spouses with undeniable proof, and ensure that the legal proceedings were in their favor. During his lunch break, Andrew stepped out of the office to call Emily. She answered on the first ring. "Hi, Andrew," Emily greeted him, her voice tinged with exhaustion. "Hey, Emily. I've been thinking about our next steps. We need to gather more concrete evidence, something that will hold up in court," Andrew said. Emily sighed. "I've been thinking the same thing. I've already started compiling more data from Ryan's phone and our shared accounts. We need to cover all our bases. Agreed. Let us meet tonight and go over what we have. We need to be thorough," Andrew suggested. "Sounds good. How about my place at 7? Emily offered. "I'll be there," Andrew confirmed before hanging up. The rest of the day passed slowly. Andrew found himself distracted, his thoughts constantly returning to the evening meeting with Emily. He left the office promptly at 5, eager to get started on their plan. When Andrew arrived at Emily's house, she greeted him with a tired smile. "Come in. I have got everything set up in the living room." They sat down at the coffee table, which was covered with papers, files, and Emily S. laptop. Andrew could see the strain on Emily S. face, the toll of their situation evident in her eyes. "Let us get started," Emily said, opening her laptop. "I've compiled a list of all the times Ryan and Lauren have met over the past 6 months. I've also got copies of their text messages and call logs." Andrew nodded, impressed by Emily S.'s thoroughness. "This is great. We need to make sure we have all the evidence we need. Let S go through it piece by piece." They spent the next few hours meticulously reviewing the data, cross-referencing dates, times, and locations. The evidence was damning, and it painted a clear picture of the affair. As they worked, their anger and hurt were palpable, but so was their determination to see this through. Emily paused, looking at Andrew with a thoughtful expression. "We need to think about how we are going to present this in court. We need to be strategic." "Agreed," Andrew said. "We also need to consider the emotional impact. We want to make sure they understand the full extent of their betrayal." Emily nodded. "I have been thinking about that. We need to confront them in a way that leaves no room for denial. We need to catch them in the act, with all the evidence laid out." Andrew leaned back, considering her words. "We need to set a trap, something that will force them to face the truth with no way out." Emily S.'s eyes lit up. "Exactly. We need to plan another confrontation, but this time we'll be prepared. We'll have all the evidence ready, and we'll catch them red-handed." They continued to brainstorm, refining their plan and discussing various scenarios. By the time they were done, they had a solid strategy in place. As Andrew got up to leave, he turned to Emily. "We're going to get through this, Emily, together." Emily smiled, a hint of relief in her eyes. "Thank you, Andrew. I don't think I could do this without you." Andrew nodded. "We are in this together. We'll make sure they pay for what they have done." The drive home was filled with a mix of anticipation and anxiety. Andrew knew that the coming days would be challenging, but he was ready to face whatever came his way. The next few days were a whirlwind of preparation. Andrew and Emily stayed in constant contact, coordinating their efforts and gathering more evidence. They tracked Lauren and Ryan S. movements, documenting every interaction. On the day of their planned confrontation, Andrew felt a sense of nervous anticipation. He and Emily had everything in place, and they were ready to set their trap. Andrew told Lauren that he had a late meeting at work and would to be home until late. She seemed relieved, not suspecting a thing. Andrew met Emily a few blocks away from the motel, both of them nervous but determined. They parked their car discreetly and waited. It wasn't long before Lauren S.'s car pulled into the motel parking lot. She stepped out, looking around nervously before heading inside. A few minutes later, Ryan arrived and followed her in. Andrew and Emily exchanged a determined glance. "This is it," Andrew said, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through him. They approached the motel room, their hearts pounding. Andrew took a deep breath and knocked on the door. It opened moments later, revealing Lauren S.'s shocked face. "Andrew? What are you doing here?" she stammered, her eyes wide with fear. "I could ask you the same thing," Andrew replied coldly. "May we come in?" Lauren hesitated, then stepped aside, allowing Andrew and Emily to enter. Ryan was standing by the bed, his face pale and eyes wide with shock. "What is this?" Ryan demanded, trying to sound authoritative but failing miserably. "This is the end of your lies," Emily said, her voice shaking with barely controlled rage. "We know everything. We have all the evidence." Andrew stepped forward, his eyes locked on Lauren. "Why, Lauren? Why would you do this to us?" Lauren looked down, unable to meet his gaze. I don't know. It just happened." Andrew felt a surge of anger. "Just happened? For 6 months?" Emily turned to Ryan, her voice cold and steady. "We have all the records, the messages, the meetings, everything. There's no denying it." Ryan tried to protest, but Andrew cut him off. "Save it, Ryan. We're not here to listen to excuses." Lauren started to cry, but Andrew felt no sympathy. "It is too late for apologies, Lauren. You betrayed me." Emily faced Ryan, her eyes blazing. "And you betrayed me. This ends now." The confrontation was intense, emotions running high as truths were laid bare. Andrew and Emily made it clear that they were proceeding with divorce and would use all the evidence they had gathered to ensure the outcomes were in their favor. As they left the motel, Andrew felt a strange sense of relief. The hardest part was over, and now they could focus on moving forward. In the car, Emily turned to Andrew. "What now?" Andrew sighed. "Now we see this through to the end. We gather our evidence, meet with our lawyers, and make sure they understand just how badly they messed up." Emily nodded. "I am glad we were in this together, Andrew." "Me too, Emily. Me too." As they drove away, Andrew couldn't help but feel a sense of camaraderie with Emily. They had been brought together by betrayal, but they were united in their quest for justice. And perhaps, through this ordeal, they would find a way to heal and start anew. Chapter 4. Emotional Fallout. Andrew Bennett sat alone in his living room, the dim light from the lamp casting long shadows across the room. He stared at the divorce papers on the coffee table, the weight of the situation pressing down on him. The confrontation at the motel had been cathartic in a way, but it had also left him emotionally drained. Lauren had moved out the day after the confrontation, taking only her essentials. The house felt emptier without her presence, a stark reminder of the life they had built together and the betrayal that had shattered it. Andrew's phone buzzed, breaking the silence. It was a message from Emily. "How are you holding up?" He sighed and typed a quick response. "It has been tough, but I'm managing." "How about you?" Emily replied almost immediately. "Same here. Ryan moved out too. It's strange being alone in the house." Andrew felt a pang of sympathy for Emily. They were both going through the same ordeal, and it brought them closer together. "Do you want to talk? We could meet up." Emily's response was quick, ID like that. "How about the park near my house in an hour? Sounds good. See you then?" Andrew replied. He grabbed his jacket and headed out the door. The evening air was cool and refreshing, a welcome contrast to the stifling atmosphere in his house. As he drove to the park, he thought about the last few weeks and the emotional roller coaster he had been on. When he arrived at the park, he saw Emily sitting on a bench looking out over the pond. He walked over and sat down beside her. "Hey," Emily said, giving him a small smile. "Hey," Andrew replied. "How are you holding up?" Emily shrugged. "It's been hard. I thought I knew Ryan, but now I am not sure of anything anymore." Andrew nodded. "I know what you mean. It's like everything I thought I knew about Lauren was a lie." They sat in silence for a moment, both lost in their thoughts. Finally, Emily spoke. "I'm glad we're in this together, Andrew. I don't think I could handle it alone." Andrew reached out and took her hand. "We'll get through this, Emily, one step at a time." Emily squeezed his hand, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Andrew. That means a lot." They spent the next hour talking, sharing their fears, hopes, and frustrations. It was comforting to have someone who understood exactly what they were going through. As the evening grew darker, they finally decided to head home. Andrew felt a sense of solace knowing he had someone he could rely on. The following weeks were a blur of legal meetings, paperwork, and emotional upheaval. Andrew and Emily continued to support each other, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. One evening, Andrew received a call from his best friend, Jake. "Hey man, how are you holding up?" Andrew sighed. "It's been rough, Jake. Lauren moved out and we're in the middle of divorce proceedings." Jake was silent for a moment. "I'm really sorry to hear that, Andrew. If you need anything, you know I am here for you." "Thanks, Jake." "I appreciate it," Andrew said, feeling a wave of gratitude for his friend's support. "Why don't you come over for dinner tomorrow?" "Madison and I would love to have you," Jake suggested. "That sounds great. I could use the company," Andrew replied. The next evening, Andrew arrived at Jake and Madison's house. The warm, inviting atmosphere was a welcome change from the cold, empty house he had been living in. Madison greeted him with a hug. "It's so good to see you, Andrew," she said, her smile genuine. "Thanks, Madison." "It's good to be here," Andrew replied, feeling a sense of relief. They sat down to dinner, the conversation flowing easily. Jake and Madison made sure to keep the mood light, and for the first time in weeks, Andrew found himself laughing and enjoying the company. After dinner, they moved to the living room, and Madison brought out a bottle of wine. As they chatted, the topic inevitably turned to Lauren and the divorce. I just don't understand how she could do this, Andrew said, his voice filled with frustration. We had a good life together. Jake nodded sympathetically. Sometimes people make mistakes, Andrew. It's not your fault. Madison reached out and placed a hand on Andrew S.'s shoulder. You're going to get through this, Andrew. You're strong, and you have people who care about you. Andrew felt a lump in his throat. Thank you, both of you. I don't know what I'd do without you. As the evening wore on, Andrew felt a sense of hope. He knew the road ahead would be difficult, but he also knew he had the support of his friends and Emily. Over the next few weeks, Andrew and Emily continued to gather evidence and prepare for the legal battle ahead. They met regularly, their shared experiences creating a deep bond between them. One afternoon, as they were reviewing the final pieces of evidence, Emily looked at Andrew with a determined expression. We are going to win this, Andrew. We are going to make sure they pay for what they've done. Andrew nodded, his resolve matching hers. We will, Emily. We've come this far, and we're not backing down now. The day of the court hearing arrived, and Andrew felt a mix of nerves and determination. He and Emily had prepared meticulously, and they were ready to face Lauren and Ryan. As they entered the courtroom, Andrew glanced at Lauren. She looked anxious, her eyes darting around the room. Ryan was sitting beside her, his expression tense. The proceedings began, and the evidence Andrew and Emily had gathered was presented. The judge listened carefully, the weight of the evidence clear in his expression. Lauren and Ryan tried to defend their actions, but their arguments were weak in the face of the overwhelming evidence. The judge ruled in favor of Andrew and Emily, granting them the divorce and the terms they had sought. As they left the courtroom, Andrew felt a sense of relief and closure. The legal battle was over, and now they could focus on rebuilding their lives. Emily turned to Andrew, her eyes filled with emotion. We did it, Andrew. We got through it. Andrew smiled, feeling a weight lift off his shoulders. We did, Emily. Thank you for being there with me. Emily smiled back, her expression one of gratitude and determination. We are in this together, Andrew, and we are going to come out stronger on the other side. As they walked out of the courthouse, Andrew felt a renewed sense of hope. The road ahead would still be challenging, but with Emily by his side, he knew they could face anything. Chapter 5. Breaking Point. Andrew Bennett sat at his desk, staring at the framed photo of him and Lauren from their wedding day. It was a stark reminder of how much had changed. The betrayal still stung, but he knew he had to focus on moving forward. The court ruling had been in his favor, but the emotional fallout was far from over. He picked up his phone and called Emily. They had agreed to meet at a small cafe to discuss the final steps in their divorce proceedings. Emily answered on the first ring. Hey, Andrew, are we still on for today? She asked, her voice steady but tinged with fatigue. Yes, I'll be there in about 15 minutes, Andrew replied. As he drove to the cafe, Andrew thought about the journey he and Emily had been on. They had been brought together by betrayal and had found strength in each other as support. Now they were nearing the end of this chapter, but he couldn't shake the feeling that there were still challenges ahead. Emily was already at a table when he arrived, a cup of coffee in front of her. She looked up and smiled as he approached. Hi, Andrew. How are you holding up? She asked, her eyes filled with concern. Andrew shrugged. It's been tough, but I am managing. How about you? Emily sighed. I am hanging in there. The legal battle was exhausting, but at least we are almost done. Andrew nodded and took a seat across from her. I've been thinking about what comes next. We need to make sure we were both in a good place before we move on. Emily agreed. I've been thinking the same thing. We need to focus on healing and rebuilding our lives. They spent the next hour discussing their plans and how they would support each other in the coming months. It was a comforting conversation, and by the time they left the cafe, Andrew felt a sense of clarity. That evening, Andrew returned home to find a letter from Lauren on the kitchen table. His heart sank as he opened it, unsure of what to expect. Dear Andrew, I know I have no right to ask for your forgiveness after everything I have done. I betrayed your trust and destroyed our marriage, and for that, I am truly sorry. I've been doing a lot of thinking and realized that I need to take responsibility for my actions. I hope that one day you can find it in your heart to forgive me, even if we can never be together again. I wish you all the best in your future, and I hope you find happiness and peace. Sincerely, Lauren Andrew sat down, the letter still in his hand. The words stirred a mix of emotions in him. He had loved Lauren deeply, and her betrayal had cut him to the core. But now, he felt a glimmer of closure. The next day, Andrew decided to take a walk in the park to clear his mind. As he strolled along the path, he saw Emily sitting on a bench, looking lost in thought. He walked over and sat down beside her. "Hey, Emily, what's on your mind?" he asked gently. Emily looked up, surprised but pleased to see him. "Just thinking about everything that has happened. It's been such a whirlwind." Andrew nodded. "I know what you mean. I got a letter from Lauren last night. She apologized and asked for forgiveness." Emily's eyes widened. "Wow, how do you feel about that?" Andrew sighed. "I don't know. It's just a lot to process, but I think it's just a step towards closure." Emily reached out and took his hand. "I'm here for you, Andrew. We'll get through this together." Andrew smiled, feeling a surge of gratitude for Emily's support. "Thank you, Emily. That means a lot." As they sat in comfortable silence, Andrew felt a sense of peace wash over him. The road ahead was still uncertain, but with Emily by his side, he knew he could face whatever challenges came his way. The following weeks were a mix of highs and lows. Andrew and Emily continued to support each other, their bond growing stronger. They spent more time together, finding solace in each other's company. One evening, as they were walking through the park, Emily turned to Andrew with a thoughtful expression. "Andrew, have you thought about what you want to do next? I mean, beyond the divorce and everything?" Andrew considered her question. "I've been thinking about it a lot. I want to focus on my career and maybe take up some new hobbies. I need to rediscover who I am outside of my marriage." Emily smiled. "That sounds like a good plan. I've been thinking about going back to school, maybe taking some courses to advance my career." Andrew squeezed her hand. "That is a great idea, Emily. You're so strong and capable. I know you'll do great." Emily blushed slightly. "Thank you, Andrew. That means a lot coming from you." As they continued their walk, Andrew felt a sense of optimism for the first time in months. He and Emily had faced their darkest moments and come out stronger. Now they could focus on building a new future, one step at a time. The day finally came when the divorce was finalized. Andrew felt a mixture of relief and sadness as he signed the final papers. It was the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. Emily was waiting for him outside the courthouse. She greeted him with a warm smile. "It's finally over, Andrew. How do you feel?" Andrew took a deep breath, relieved, I think, and ready to move on. Emily nodded. "Me too. We've come a long way, Andrew. I'm proud of us." Andrew smiled. "Me too, Emily. Me too." As they walked away from the courthouse, Andrew felt a sense of liberation. The past was behind him, and the future was filled with possibilities. With Emily by his side, he knew he could face whatever came his way. The weeks that followed were filled with new beginnings. Andrew threw himself into his work, taking on new projects and challenges. He also started exploring new hobbies, finding joy in activities he had never tried before. Emily enrolled in courses to advance her career, and Andrew supported her every step of the way. They spent their evenings together, sharing their experiences and dreams for the future. One evening, as they sat on Emily's porch, watching the sunset, Andrew turned to her with a serious expression. "Emily, I've been thinking. We've been through so much together, and I can't imagine my life without you." Emily looked at him, her eyes filled with emotion. "Andrew, I feel the same way. You've been my rock through all of this." Andrew took her hand. "I don't know what the future holds, but I want to face it with you." Emily smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. "I want that too, Andrew. We are stronger together." As they sat in the fading light, Andrew felt a sense of peace and contentment. The journey had been long and difficult, but it had brought them to this moment. Together they were ready to face whatever the future held, knowing that they had each other to lean on. The days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months. Andrew and Emily continued to build their new lives, finding joy and fulfillment in each other's company. They knew that there would still be challenges ahead, but they faced them with courage and determination. One evening, as they walked hand in hand through the park, Andrew looked at Emily and smiled. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" Emily nodded, her eyes sparkling. "Yes, we have, and we have so much to look forward to." Andrew pulled her close, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for the journey they had been on. "Here's to the future, Emily. Together." "Together," Emily echoed, her voice filled with love and hope. As they walked into the future, Andrew knew that they were ready for whatever came their way. They had faced their darkest moments and emerged stronger, ready to embrace the possibilities that lay ahead. Together, they would build a new life, filled with love, trust, and endless potential. Chapter 6. Legal Battles. The next morning, Andrew Bennett woke up with a renewed sense of purpose. The divorce proceedings were behind him, but he knew there were still legal battles ahead, particularly concerning the division of assets and the final settlement. He felt a mixture of determination and apprehension as he prepared for the day ahead. He had an appointment with his lawyer, Victoria Parker, who had been instrumental in helping him navigate the complexities of the divorce. Victoria was sharp, experienced, and had a reputation for being relentless in the courtroom. Andrew arrived at Victoria's office, a sleek, modern building in the heart of the city. He was greeted by her assistant and shown into her office, where Victoria was waiting, her desk covered in legal documents. "Good morning, Andrew. How are you holding up?" Victoria asked, her expression professional yet warm. Andrew sighed as he sat down. "I'm doing okay, Victoria. Just ready to get all of this behind me." Victoria nodded. "I understand. We've made good progress so far, but we need to focus on the final settlement. I've reviewed all the documents, and I believe we are in a strong position." Andrew leaned forward, listening intently. "What is our strategy?" Victoria picked up a file and began to outline their plan. "We need to ensure that the division of assets is fair and equitable. Given the evidence we've gathered and the court's previous ruling, we have a strong case. However, we need to be prepared for any counter-arguments from Lauren's lawyer." Andrew nodded, absorbing the information. "I trust your judgment, Victoria. I just want to make sure we cover all our bases." Victoria smiled reassuringly. "We will, Andrew. I've been doing this a long time, and I'm confident we'll secure a favorable outcome for you." They spent the next hour going over the details of the case, reviewing financial records, property assets, and other pertinent information. Victoria's thoroughness and expertise gave Andrew a sense of confidence. As the meeting wrapped up, Victoria looked at Andrew with a determined expression. "We have a strong case, Andrew. Trust the process, and we all get through this." Andrew left the office feeling more prepared and ready to face the upcoming legal battles. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he was determined to see it through. Later that afternoon, Andrew met Emily for lunch. They had become a constant source of support for each other, and their bond had grown stronger with each passing day. Emily greeted him with a warm smile as he sat down. "Hey, Andrew. How did your meeting with Victoria go?" Andrew sighed, a hint of a smile on his face. "It went well. She has confident we have a strong case. We just need to focus on the final settlement." Emily nodded, her expression empathetic. "I'm glad to hear that. I had a meeting with my lawyer too. It is exhausting, but we are almost there." Andrew reached out and took her hand. "We'll get through this, Emily. Together." They spent the rest of the lunch talking about their plans for the future, sharing their hopes and dreams. It was a welcome distraction from the legal battles they were facing. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of legal proceedings and negotiations. Victoria was relentless, meticulously presenting their case and countering any arguments from Lauren's lawyer. Andrew attended every meeting and hearing, determined to see it through to the end. One particularly tense day, Andrew found himself sitting across from Lauren in the conference room. It was the first time they had been face-to-face since the divorce was finalized. The atmosphere was charged with tension and unspoken words. Lauren's lawyer, a formidable woman named Rachel Carter, was arguing for a larger share of the assets. Victoria remained calm, her responses measured and precise. At one point, Rachel turned to Lauren. "Lauren, would you like to say anything on your behalf?" Lauren looked at Andrew, her eyes filled with a mixture of regret and defiance. "Andrew, I know I have made mistakes, and I am sorry for the pain I have caused, but I believe I deserve a fair share of our assets." Andrew felt a surge of anger but kept his voice steady. "Lauren, I have always wanted to be fair, but you have to understand that your actions have consequences." Rachel intervened. "We are not here to discuss personal feelings. This is about a fair division of assets." Victoria nodded in agreement. "Exactly. And based on the evidence and the court's previous ruling, we believe our proposal is more than fair." The negotiations continued, each side presenting their arguments. It was a draining process, but Andrew remained focused. He knew he had to stay strong for himself and for his future. After what felt like an eternity, the negotiations finally concluded. The final settlement was agreed upon and both parties signed the documents. It was a significant victory for Andrew, and a sense of relief washed over him. As they left the conference room, Victoria turned to Andrew. "You did great in there. We achieved what we set out to do." Andrew nodded, feeling a sense of accomplishment. "Thank you, Victoria. I couldn't have done it without you." Victoria smiled. "It's my job, Andrew. Now go celebrate. You've earned it." Andrew walked out of the building feeling lighter than he had in months. He called Emily to share the news. "Emily, it is done. We reached a settlement," Andrew said, his voice filled with relief. Emily's voice was jubilant on the other end. "That's fantastic, Andrew. I am so happy for you. Thank you, Emily." "I couldn't have done it without your support," Andrew replied, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "Let us celebrate tonight." "My treat," Emily suggested. Andrew smiled. "I'd love that. See you tonight." The celebration that evening was filled with laughter and joy. Andrew and Emily toasted to their victories and to the new beginnings that lay ahead. As the evening wore on, Andrew felt a deep sense of peace. The legal battles were behind him, and he could finally focus on rebuilding his life. With Emily by his side, he knew that the future was filled with endless possibilities. As they sat on the porch watching the stars, Andrew turned to Emily. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" Emily nodded, her eyes shining. "Yes, we have, and we have so much to look forward to." Andrew pulled her close, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "Here's to the future, Emily. Together." "Together," Emily echoed, her voice filled with love and hope. As they sat in the quiet night, Andrew knew that they were ready for whatever came their way. They had faced their darkest moments and emerged stronger, ready to embrace the possibilities that lay ahead. Together, they would build a new life, filled with love, trust, and endless potential. Chapter 7. New Beginnings. Andrew Bennett woke up the next morning with a sense of liberation. The long legal battle was behind him, and he felt a newfound freedom to move forward with his life. He lay in bed for a moment, savoring the quiet and the peace that came with knowing that the hardest part was over. His phone buzzed with a message from Emily. "Good morning. How about brunch today? We have a lot to celebrate." Andrew smiled as he typed his response. "Sounds perfect. I'll meet you at our usual spot." After a quick shower and a change of clothes, Andrew headed out to the cafe where he and Emily often met. The air was crisp, and the sun was shining brightly, reflecting his upbeat mood. When he arrived, Emily was already seated at a table on the patio, a smile lighting up her face as she saw him approach. "Hey, Andrew. It's so good to see you," Emily said, standing to give him a warm hug. "It's good to see you too, Emily," Andrew replied, feeling a wave of gratitude for her presence in his life. They ordered their meals and settled into comfortable conversation. It felt good to talk about something other than the divorce and the legal battles. They laughed and shared stories, enjoying the simple pleasure of each other as company. As they finished their brunch, Emily looked at Andrew thoughtfully. "So what's next for you, Andrew? Now that everything is settled, what do you want to do?" Andrew leaned back, considering her question. "I've been thinking a lot about that. I want to focus on my career, maybe take on some new projects, and I want to find new hobbies, things that make me happy." Emily nodded. "That sounds like a great plan. I've been thinking about taking some art classes. I've always loved painting, and I think it would be a good way to relax and express myself. Andrew smiled. That's a fantastic idea, Emily. You are so talented, and I think you'll really enjoy it. They spent the rest of the afternoon walking through the nearby park, discussing their plans and dreams for the future. It was a beautiful day, and the promise of new beginnings filled the air. Over the next few weeks, Andrew threw himself into his work, taking on new projects and challenges. He found joy in his work and satisfaction in seeing his efforts come to fruition. He also started exploring new hobbies, including hiking and photography, activities that allowed him to appreciate the beauty of the world around him. Emily enrolled in art classes and quickly found that she loved them. She spent hours painting, losing herself in the creative process. Andrew often joined her at the studio, admiring her work and encouraging her. One evening, as they were walking home from the studio, Emily turned to Andrew with a smile. "I am really glad we decided to take these steps forward, Andrew. It feels good to focus on the future." Andrew nodded, his heart full. "I feel the same way, Emily. We've come a long way, and I'm excited about what's ahead." Their bond continued to grow stronger, and they found joy in the little moments they shared. They cooked dinner together, explored new places, and supported each other's passions. It was a time of healing and growth, and they embraced it fully. One Saturday afternoon, Andrew received a call from his best friend, Jake. "Hey, Andrew! Madison and I are having a barbecue next weekend. We'd love for you and Emily to join us." Andrew smiled. "That sounds great, Jake. We'd love to come." The following weekend, Andrew and Emily arrived at Jake and Madison's house, greeted by the smell of grilling food and the sound of laughter. It was a warm, welcoming atmosphere, and Andrew felt a deep sense of contentment. Madison greeted them with a hug. "It's so good to see you both. Come on in and make yourselves at home." As the evening progressed, Andrew found himself reflecting on how far he had come. Surrounded by friends and loved ones, he felt a profound sense of gratitude for the journey he had been on. He knew that the road had been difficult, but it had brought him to this moment of happiness and fulfillment. Later that night, as they walked home, Emily took Andrew's hand. "I'm so glad we have each other, Andrew. I couldn't have made it through without you." Andrew squeezed her hand, feeling the same way. "I'm grateful for you too, Emily. We've been through so much, and I know we can face anything together." As they reached Emily's porch, she turned to him with a shy smile. "Would you like to come in? I've been working on a new painting, and I'd love to show it to you." Andrew nodded, intrigued. "I'd love to see it." They went inside, and Emily led him to her studio. She unveiled the painting, a beautiful landscape that seemed to capture the essence of hope and renewal. "It is amazing, Emily," Andrew said, genuinely impressed. "You have such a gift." Emily blushed, pleased by his reaction. "Thank you, Andrew. It means a lot to hear you say that." They spent the rest of the evening talking and laughing, the connection between them growing deeper. As the night wore on, Andrew realized that he was falling for Emily. The bond they had formed through their shared struggles had blossomed into something more. As they said goodnight, Emily looked at Andrew with a tender expression. "I've really enjoyed tonight, Andrew. Thank you for being here." Andrew smiled, his heart full. "I've enjoyed it too, Emily. Good night." The following days were filled with a sense of anticipation. Andrew and Emily continued to spend time together, their feelings for each other becoming more apparent. It was a slow, natural progression, and they both embraced it. One evening, as they were sitting on the porch, watching the sunset, Andrew turned to Emily with a serious expression. "Emily, I need to tell you something. These past few months have been incredible, and I've realized that I have feelings for you. I care about you deeply." Emily looked at him, her eyes filled with emotion. "Andrew, I feel the same way. You've been my rock through everything, and I can't imagine my life without you." Andrew reached out and took her hand. "I don't know what the future holds, but I want to face it with you, together." Emily smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. "I want that too, Andrew, together." As they sat in the fading light, Andrew felt a deep sense of peace and contentment. The journey had been long and difficult, but it had brought them to this moment of happiness and fulfillment. Together, they were ready to face whatever the future held, knowing that they had each other to lean on. The days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months. Andrew and Emily continued to build their new lives, finding joy and fulfillment in each other as company. They knew that there would still be challenges ahead, but they faced them with courage and determination. One evening, as they walked hand in hand through the park, Andrew looked at Emily and smiled. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" Emily nodded, her eyes sparkling. "Yes, we have, and we have so much to look forward to." Andrew pulled her close, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for the journey they had been on. "Here is to the future, Emily." "Together, together," Emily echoed, her voice filled with love and hope. As they walked into the future, Andrew knew that they were ready for whatever came their way. They had faced their darkest moments and emerged stronger, ready to embrace the possibilities that lay ahead. Together, they would build a new life filled with love, trust, and endless potential. Chapter 8. Unexpected Connections. Andrew Bennett found himself walking through the doors of a local charity store one Saturday morning. He had decided to volunteer some of his free time to help others, feeling that it would be a good way to give back to the community and find a new sense of purpose. The store, run by a nonprofit organization, supported various local causes including children's education and community development projects. He was greeted by a cheerful woman at the front desk. "Good morning. How can I help you today?" she asked with a warm smile. "Hi, I am Andrew Bennett. I am here to volunteer," Andrew replied. The woman's smile widened. "Wonderful. I am Hannah Miller, the volunteer coordinator. Let me show you around and get you started." As they walked through the store, Hannah explained the various tasks that volunteers typically handled, from sorting donations to helping customers. Andrew listened attentively, feeling a sense of excitement about the new experience. "Thank you for showing me around, Hannah. I am looking forward to helping out," Andrew said sincerely. "We are glad to have you, Andrew." "I'll introduce you to the rest of the team," Hannah replied, leading him to the back of the store where other volunteers were working. Among the volunteers was a woman who seemed to be in charge, directing the activities with a confident air. Hannah called out to her, "Victoria, this is Andrew. He is joining us as a new volunteer." Victoria turned and greeted Andrew with a firm handshake. "Welcome, Andrew. I am Victoria Parker. We can always use an extra pair of hands around here." Andrew smiled. "Happy to be here, Victoria." Victoria assigned Andrew to work with a volunteer named Lucas, who was sorting through a pile of donated items. As they worked side by side, Andrew struck up a conversation. "So, Lucas, how long have you been volunteering here?" Andrew asked. Lucas looked up and smiled. "About a year now. It is a great place to give back to the community, and I've met some wonderful people along the way." Andrew nodded. "That's exactly what I'm hoping for. It feels good to be doing something meaningful." They continued to work together, sharing stories and getting to know each other. Andrew quickly realized that the charity store was not just a place to help others, but also a place where strong connections and friendships could be formed. As the day progressed, Andrew found himself enjoying the camaraderie among the volunteers. Everyone worked together seamlessly, driven by a shared purpose. The atmosphere was positive and uplifting, a stark contrast to the stress and tension he had been experiencing over the past months. During a break, Hannah approached Andrew with a cup of coffee. "How are you finding it so far?" she asked. Andrew took the coffee gratefully. "I'm really enjoying it, Hannah. It is great to be part of such a dedicated team." Hannah smiled. "We are glad to have you. You are fitting in perfectly." Just as they were about to resume work, a familiar face walked into the store. Andrew's heart skipped a beat as he recognized Emily, who had decided to surprise him by stopping by to see how he was doing. "Emily! What a pleasant surprise!" Andrew exclaimed, walking over to greet her. Emily smiled warmly. "I thought I'd come by and see how you were settling in." Andrew introduced Emily to Hannah and Victoria, who welcomed her with open arms. "It's us wonderful to meet you, Emily. Any friend of Andrew's is a friend of ours," Victoria said. As they chatted, Hannah had an idea. "Why don't you join us, Emily? We could always use more help." Emily's eyes lit up. I'd love to. It sounds like a lot of fun. The rest of the day passed quickly, with Andrew and Emily working side by side. They laughed, shared stories, and enjoyed the sense of fulfillment that came from helping others. By the end of the day, they were both exhausted, but happy. As they walked out of the store, Andrew turned to Emily with a grateful smile. "Thank you for coming today, Emily. It meant a lot to me." Emily squeezed his hand. "I'm glad I came, Andrew. It was a wonderful experience, and I loved seeing you so passionate about something." They spent the evening together, enjoying a quiet dinner at a small, cozy restaurant. The connection between them continued to grow, and they found themselves talking about their dreams and aspirations. A few days later, while volunteering at the store, Andrew was approached by Victoria. "Andrew, I wanted to talk to you about something. We're planning a fundraiser event next month, and we could really use your help. Would you be interested in joining the planning committee?" Andrew was taken aback, but flattered by the offer. "I'd love to help, Victoria. What would you need me to do?" Victoria explained the details of the event, which included organizing donations, coordinating with local businesses, and helping to set up and run the event. It was a big responsibility, but Andrew felt up to the challenge. "Count me in, Victoria. I am happy to help in any way I can," Andrew said with determination. Over the next few weeks, Andrew immersed himself in the preparations for the fundraiser. He worked closely with Victoria and the rest of the planning committee, dedicating his time and energy to ensuring the event a success. It was a lot of work, but he found it incredibly rewarding. Emily continued to support Andrew, often joining him at the store and lending a hand wherever she could. Their relationship continued to deepen, and they found joy in the simple moments they shared. The day of the fundraiser arrived, and the atmosphere was electric with excitement. The store was bustling with activity, and the community had come out in full force to support the event. There were booths with games and activities, live music, and a silent auction featuring donated items from local businesses. Andrew and Emily worked tirelessly throughout the day, ensuring everything ran smoothly. As the event drew to a close, Victoria approached them with a beaming smile. "Andrew, Emily, I can thank you enough for all your hard work. This event has been a huge success, and we have raised more money than we ever expected," Victoria said, her voice filled with gratitude. Andrew and Emily exchanged a proud smile. "We are just happy to have been a part of it," Andrew replied. As the sun set and the last of the guests left, Andrew and Emily took a moment to reflect on the day's events. They sat on a bench outside the store, watching the stars begin to twinkle in the night sky. "Today was incredible, Andrew. I am so proud of you," Emily said, leaning her head on his shoulder. Andrew wrapped his arm around her, feeling a deep sense of contentment. "I couldn't have done it without you, Emily. We make a great team." As they sat in comfortable silence, Andrew realized that the unexpected connections he had made at the charity store had brought a new sense of purpose and fulfillment to his life. He was grateful for the journey he had been on and excited for the future that lay ahead. The weeks that followed were filled with new opportunities and continued growth. Andrew and Emily became regular volunteers at the store, and their involvement deepened their connection to the community and each other. One evening, as they were closing up the store, Victoria approached them with a thoughtful expression. "Andrew, Emily, I've been thinking about how much you both have contributed to our efforts here. We'd like to offer you more permanent roles within the organization, if you're interested." Andrew and Emily exchanged a surprised glance. "Permanent roles?" Andrew asked, intrigued. Victoria nodded. "Yes, we are expanding our programs, and we could use your skills and dedication. Andrew, we'd like you to take on a leadership role in our community outreach efforts. And Emily, we'd love for you to head up our arts and education programs." Andrew and Emily were both touched by the offer. It was an opportunity to make a lasting impact and continue the work they had grown to love. "Victoria, we'd be honored," Andrew said, his voice filled with emotion. Emily nodded in agreement. "This means so much to us. Thank you for believing in us." As they accepted their new roles, Andrew and Emily felt a renewed sense of purpose and excitement for the future. They knew that together, They could achieve great things and continue to build a life filled with love, trust, and endless possibilities. The journey had been long and challenging, but it had led them to this moment of fulfillment and joy. With their hearts full and their spirits high, Andrew and Emily looked forward to the future, ready to face whatever came their way. Together, they knew they could accomplish anything. Chapter 9. Confrontation and Reconciliation. Andrew Bennett's life had taken on a new rhythm, one that was both fulfilling and challenging. His volunteer work at the charity store had become a significant part of his routine, and his bond with Emily continued to grow stronger. However, there was still one unresolved issue that weighed heavily on his mind: Ryan Cooper, the man who had been a central figure in the betrayal that had upended his life. One evening, as Andrew was closing up the store, he received an unexpected call from Emily. Her voice was filled with urgency. "Andrew, can you come over? There's something we need to talk about." Andrew's heart sank. "Is everything okay, Emily? I don't want to discuss it over the phone." "Please, just come," Emily replied. "All right, I'll be there soon," Andrew said, already heading towards his car. When he arrived at Emily's house, she was waiting on the porch, her expression tense. She led him inside, and they sat down in the living room. "Emily, what is going on?" Andrew asked, his concern growing. Emily took a deep breath. "Ryan called me. He wants to meet. He says he wants to apologize and make things right." Andrew felt a surge of anger. After everything he's done, he thinks an apology will fix it? Emily nodded. "I know it's hard to believe, but he sounded sincere. He said he realized the damage he caused and wants to make amends." Andrew's mind raced. He didn't trust Ryan, but he also didn't want to leave any loose ends. "What do you think, Emily? I think we should hear him out. Maybe it will give us some closure," Emily said, her eyes pleading. Andrew sighed. "All right, we'll meet him, but we need to be cautious." They arranged to meet Ryan at a neutral location, a quiet cafe on the outskirts of town. The next evening, Andrew and Emily arrived early, choosing a secluded table where they could see the entrance. They waited in tense silence until Ryan walked in, looking nervous and contrite. He approached their table slowly, his eyes filled with regret. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with me," Ryan said, taking a seat. Andrew's expression was cold. "We are here to listen, Ryan. Start talking." Ryan nodded, taking a deep breath. "First, I want to say how sorry I am for everything. I know I have caused a lot of pain, and I deeply regret my actions." Emily's voice was calm but firm. "Why now, Ryan? Why are you coming to us now?" Ryan looked down, his hands trembling. "I have had a lot of time to think. I have lost everything because of my mistakes, my marriage, my friends, my self-respect. I realize that I need to take responsibility and try to make things right, even if it's just by apologizing." Andrew's anger simmered just below the surface. "Words are easy, Ryan. Actions are what matter." Ryan met Andrew's gaze. "I know, and I am willing to do whatever it takes to prove that I am truly sorry. I want to make amends, even if it means just giving you both the closure you need." Emily looked at Andrew, her eyes searching for his reaction. Andrew took a deep breath, trying to keep his emotions in check. "What do you propose, Ryan?" Ryan swallowed hard. "I am willing to help with the charity store, donate my time, and do whatever you think is necessary. I know I can never undo the past, but I want to start somewhere." Andrew considered Ryan's words. He didn't trust him, but he also saw the sincerity in his eyes. "This isn't just about making yourself feel better, is it, Ryan?" Ryan shook his head. "No, it is not. I genuinely want to make things right, even if it is just a small step." Emily reached out and took Andrew's hand, her touch grounding him. "Andrew, maybe this is a chance for us to find some peace." Andrew sighed, feeling torn. "All right, Ryan, we'll give you a chance, but know this trust isn't something you can earn back easily." Ryan nodded, his expression one of gratitude. "I understand, and I'm ready to do whatever it takes." The next few weeks were a test of patience and resolve. Ryan started volunteering at the charity store, working alongside Andrew and Emily. He was diligent and humble, willing to take on any task, no matter how menial. At first, Andrew watched Ryan's every move, wary of his intentions. But as time passed, he began to see a genuine change in Ryan. He was dedicated and remorseful, and his presence started to make a positive impact on the team. One afternoon, as they were sorting donations, Ryan approached Andrew. "Can we talk?" Andrew nodded, setting down the box he was holding. "Sure, Ryan. What is on your mind?" Ryan looked down, gathering his thoughts. "I know I have no right to ask for forgiveness, but I want you to know that I'm truly sorry. I see now how much damage I've caused, and I regret it every day." Andrew studied Ryan's face, seeing the sincerity in his eyes. "It's going to take time, Ryan. Trust isn't something that can be rebuilt overnight." Ryan nodded. "I understand. I am committed to proving myself no matter how long it takes." Andrew sighed, feeling a weight lift slightly from his shoulders. "All right, Ryan. Let's keep moving forward and see where this goes." The days turned into weeks, and the tension between Andrew and Ryan slowly began to ease. They found themselves working together more seamlessly, their interactions becoming less strained. Emily noticed the change and mentioned it to Andrew one evening as they were closing up the store. "I am proud of you, Andrew. It's not easy to give someone a second chance." Andrew nodded, feeling a sense of accomplishment. "It's been a challenge, but I think it is worth it. Maybe we can all find some peace." One weekend, the charity store hosted a community event to raise awareness and funds for their programs. It was a bustling day with activities for children, food stalls, and live music. Andrew, Emily, and Ryan worked tirelessly to ensure the event is a success. As the day drew to a close, Andrew found himself standing on the stage, addressing the crowd. "Thank you all for coming and supporting our cause. It's amazing to see the community come together like this. We couldn't do it without your support." The crowd cheered, and Andrew felt a sense of pride and gratitude. After the event, as they were cleaning up, Ryan approached Andrew and Emily. "Today was incredible. It feels good to be part of something positive," Ryan said, his voice filled with genuine emotion. Andrew smiled, feeling a sense of camaraderie. "It does, Ryan, it really does." As they finished cleaning up, Andrew realized that the journey of healing and reconciliation was far from over, but they had made significant strides. They had faced their past, and now they were building a future filled with hope and possibility. Later that night, as Andrew and Emily sat on her porch, they reflected on the day's events. "We've come a long way, Andrew," Emily said, her voice soft. Andrew nodded, feeling a deep sense of contentment. "We have, Emily, and I am grateful for every step of this journey with you." Emily leaned her head on his shoulder. "Me too, Andrew, me too." As they sat in the quiet night, Andrew knew that they were ready for whatever came next. Together they had faced their darkest moments and emerged stronger, ready to embrace the possibilities that lay ahead. Chapter 10. Moving Forward. Andrew Bennett woke up with a sense of optimism. The journey of reconciliation with Ryan had been challenging, but it had also been healing. Andrew felt a renewed sense of purpose, both in his personal life and in his work at the charity store. He was ready to embrace new opportunities and continue building the life he wanted. As he prepared for the day, he received a call from Victoria Turner, the head of the charity organization. "Andrew, I have some exciting news. We have been invited to a conference on community development and nonprofit management. I think it would be a great opportunity for you and Emily to attend." Andrew felt a surge of excitement. "That sounds amazing, Victoria. When is it?" "Next weekend. It is a 3-day event, and I think you both would get a lot out of it," Victoria replied. "I'll talk to Emily and let you know." "Thank you for thinking of us," Andrew said, feeling grateful for the opportunity. Later that day, Andrew met Emily at the store. He couldn't wait to share the news with her. "Emily," Victoria called this morning, "we've been invited to a conference on community development and nonprofit management next weekend. Would you like to go?" Emily's eyes lit up. "That sounds fantastic, Andrew. I'd love to go. It'll be a great learning experience, and we can bring back new ideas for the store." Andrew smiled, feeling their shared excitement. "Great. I'll let Victoria know we are in." The week passed quickly as they prepared for the conference. Andrew and Emily were both eager to learn and network with other professionals in the nonprofit sector. They also looked forward to spending time together outside of their usual routine. When the day of the conference arrived, they drove to the venue, a large convention center in a nearby city. The atmosphere was buzzing with energy as attendees from various organizations mingled and exchanged ideas. The first day was filled with workshops and seminars on a wide range of topics, from fundraising strategies to community engagement. Andrew and Emily attended several sessions, taking copious notes and discussing how they could implement what they learned at their own charity store. During one of the breaks, they ran into an old friend of Andrew S. from college, Eric, who was now working for a large nonprofit organization. "Andrew, it has been ages. How have you been?" Eric greeted him with a hearty handshake. "Eric, it's great to see you. I've been good, busy with the charity store. This is Emily, my partner." Andrew introduced them. Emily and Eric shook hands, and they quickly fell into an easy conversation. Eric was impressed by the work Andrew and Emily were doing and offered to introduce them to some key people at the conference. As the day progressed, they met several influential figures in the nonprofit world, gaining valuable insights and forging new connections. The experience was enriching, and they left the first day of the conference feeling inspired and motivated. That evening, they had dinner at a cozy restaurant near the convention center. The conversation flowed easily as they discussed the day's events and their plans for the future. "Today was incredible, Andrew. I've learned so much, and I'm excited to bring these ideas back to the store," Emily said, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. Andrew nodded, feeling the same excitement. "I agree. We're going to make some great changes and improvements. I can't wait to see what the future holds." The next 2 days of the conference were equally productive. They attended more sessions, participated in interactive workshops, and continued to network with other professionals. By the end of the conference, they had a wealth of new knowledge and a renewed sense of purpose. On the drive back home, Andrew and Emily talked excitedly about all the ideas they wanted to implement. They felt more connected than ever, their shared passion for their work strengthening their bond. Once back at the charity store, they wasted no time in putting their new plans into action. They organized a team meeting to share what they had learned and brainstorm how to integrate the new ideas into their existing programs. The team was receptive and enthusiastic, and together they began to implement changes that would enhance their outreach and impact. They introduced new community programs, improved their volunteer training, and launched a series of fundraising events to support their initiatives. One evening, as they were wrapping up for the day, Victoria approached Andrew and Emily with a proud smile. "I've been so impressed with the energy and dedication you two have brought back from the conference. The changes you are making are already having a positive impact." Andrew felt a swell of pride. "Thank you, Victoria. We are committed to making a difference, and it's great to see everyone as hard work paying off." Emily nodded in agreement. "It's been a team effort, and we are excited to see what we can achieve together." As they continued to work on their new initiatives, Andrew and Emily found themselves growing closer. Their shared goals and the challenges they faced only strengthened their relationship. They supported each other through the ups and downs, finding comfort and joy in their partnership. One Saturday, after a particularly successful community event, Andrew and Emily decided to take a walk in the park to unwind. The evening was cool and serene, the perfect backdrop for a quiet moment together. As they strolled along the path, Andrew turned to Emily with a thoughtful expression. "Emily, I have been thinking a lot about us and our future. We've built something amazing together, both at the store and in our personal lives." Emily looked at him, her eyes filled with love. "I feel the same way, Andrew. You've become such an important part of my life, and I can't imagine my future without you." Andrew stopped walking and took her hands in his. "I love you, Emily. I want us to keep building this life together, facing whatever comes our way." Tears welled up in Emily's eyes as she smiled. "I love you too, Andrew. I am so grateful for everything we've shared and everything we are going to share." They embraced, the world around them fading as they focused on each other. In that moment, They knew that their journey together was just beginning, filled with endless possibilities and the promise of a bright future. As they continued their walk, hand in hand, Andrew felt a deep sense of peace and contentment. The challenges they had faced had only made them stronger, and he was excited for the adventures that lay ahead. The weeks that followed were filled with new projects and continued growth. Andrew and Emily's relationship flourished, and their work at the charity store continued to make a positive impact on the community. One evening, as they sat on the porch of Emily's house, watching the sunset, Andrew turned to her with a serious expression. "Emily, I've been thinking about the next step in our journey. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you marry me?" Emily's eyes widened in surprise, and then she broke into a radiant smile. "Yes, Andrew. Yes, I will marry you." Andrew felt a wave of joy and relief wash over him as he slipped a ring onto her finger. They kissed, sealing their promise to each other. As they sat together, basking in the glow of their engagement, they knew that their future was bright and filled with love. They had faced their darkest moments and emerged stronger, ready to embrace the possibilities that lay ahead. Together, they would build a life filled with love, trust, and endless potential, knowing that they could face anything as long as they had each other. Chapter 11. Unexpected Turn of Events. Andrew Bennett woke up with a sense of excitement and anticipation. The proposal to Emily had been a pivotal moment in his life, and he was looking forward to the journey ahead. They had decided to take things one step at a time, planning a small, intimate wedding that reflected their love and the new life they were building together. At the charity store, things were running smoothly. The new programs and initiatives they had introduced were making a significant impact, and the community was more engaged than ever. Andrew and Emily were thrilled with the progress they were making, both professionally and personally. One afternoon, as Andrew was working on a new project in his office, he received a call from an unfamiliar number. He hesitated for a moment before answering. "Hello, this is Andrew." "Hi, Andrew. This is Brooke Lewis, a reporter with the local news. I have been following the incredible work you and your team have been doing at the charity store, and I'd love to do a feature story on it. Would you be interested?" Andrew was taken aback, but pleasantly surprised. "That sounds wonderful, Brooke. We'd be happy to share our story." "Great! How about we schedule an interview for tomorrow afternoon?" Brooke suggested. "That works for us. Thank you, Brooke." "We look forward to it," Andrew replied, feeling a surge of excitement. The next day, Brooke arrived at the charity store with a camera crew. She was a professional, yet her warm demeanor put everyone at ease. Andrew introduced her to Emily, Victoria, and the rest of the team, and they spent the afternoon showcasing their work and sharing their stories. As the interview progressed, Andrew felt a deep sense of pride. Brooke's questions were insightful, and the team's enthusiasm was palpable. It was clear that their passion for their work resonated with her. Later that evening, Andrew and Emily sat together on the porch, reflecting on the day. "That went really well," Emily said, her eyes shining with excitement. "I think Brooke really understood what we're trying to achieve here." Andrew nodded, feeling the same sense of accomplishment. "I agree. It's great to get the recognition, but more importantly, it's a chance to inspire others to get involved." The next morning, the feature story aired on the local news. The response was overwhelmingly positive, with messages of support and offers to volunteer pouring in from the community. Andrew and Emily were thrilled to see their hard work paying off in such a meaningful way. However, not all the attention was positive. As the days went by, Andrew noticed that someone was following him. At first, he brushed it off as paranoia, but the feeling persisted. He mentioned it to Emily one evening as they were closing up the store. "Emily, I've had this strange feeling lately that someone is watching me," Andrew said, trying to keep his voice calm. Emily looked at him with concern. "What do you mean? Have you seen anyone suspicious?" Andrew sighed. "I can be sure. It's just a feeling, but it's been nagging at me." Emily reached out and took his hand. "Let's be cautious. We can talk to Victoria and see if she has any ideas. Maybe we can increase security around the store." The next day, Andrew and Emily spoke with Victoria, who took their concerns seriously. They decided to install additional security cameras and take other precautions to ensure everyone's safety. A few days later, Andrew received an anonymous letter in the mail. It was a threat, warning him to back off from his work at the charity store. The letter was vague but menacing, and it shook Andrew to the core. He showed the letter to Emily, who was equally disturbed. "We need to take this seriously, Andrew. We should go to the police." Andrew agreed. They took the letter to the local police station and filed a report. The officers assured them that they would investigate and keep an eye on the situation. Despite the threat, Andrew and Emily refused to be intimidated. They continued their work at the charity store, determined not to let fear control their lives. One evening, as they were leaving the store, they noticed a figure lurking in the shadows. Andrew's heart raced as he realized they were being followed. "Emily, we need to get to the car. Now!" he whispered urgently. They hurried to the car, but the figure approached them, calling out, "Andrew, wait!" Andrew turned to face the stranger, ready to confront them. "Who are you and what do you want?" The figure stepped into the light, revealing a young woman with a desperate look in her eyes. "My name is Jessica Turner. I need your help." Andrew was taken aback. "What do you mean? Why have you been following us?" Jessica looked around nervously. "I didn't mean to scare you. I've been trying to find a way to talk to you without drawing attention. I work for a rival nonprofit organization, and they've been threatened by the success of your programs. They are the ones who sent the letter." Andrew felt a mix of relief and anger. "Why didn't you come forward sooner? This has caused a lot of stress and fear." Jessica's eyes filled with tears. "I'm so sorry. I was afraid of losing my job and getting into trouble. But I couldn't keep quiet anymore. What they are doing is wrong." Emily stepped forward, her voice gentle but firm. "Thank you for telling us, Jessica. We'll take this information to the police. You did the right thing by coming forward." They escorted Jessica to the police station, where she provided a detailed statement. The officers assured them that they would investigate the rival organization and take appropriate action. As they left the police station, Andrew felt a sense of relief. The threat was real, but they had taken steps to address it. He turned to Emily, his voice filled with gratitude. "Thank you for standing by me through all of this. I couldn't have done it without you." Emily smiled, her eyes filled with love. "We are a team, Andrew. We face everything together." The days that followed were tense, but they received regular updates from the police, who were making progress in their investigation. The rival organization was shut down, and the individuals responsible for the threats were arrested. With the immediate danger behind them, Andrew and Emily focused on their work with renewed determination. They continued to grow the Charity Store's programs, making a positive impact on the community. One evening, as they sat on the porch, reflecting on the recent events, Andrew turned to Emily. "We've faced so many challenges, but we've come out stronger each time." Emily nodded, her eyes filled with pride. "We have, and I believe we can face anything as long as we are together." Andrew took her hand, feeling a deep sense of contentment. "Here's to our future, Emily. Whatever it holds, we'll face it together." "Together," Emily echoed, her voice filled with love and hope. As they sat in the quiet night, Andrew knew that their journey was far from over. There would be more challenges and unexpected turns, but with Emily by his side, he felt ready to face anything. They had built a life filled with love, trust, and endless potential, and he was excited for the future that lay ahead. Chapter 12. The Final Revelation. Andrew Bennett awoke to the sound of birds chirping outside his window. The morning light filtered through the curtains, casting a warm glow over the room. He felt a sense of peace and contentment, grateful for the stability and love that had come to define his life with Emily. As he got ready for the day, he couldn't help but reflect on how far they had come. The challenges they had faced together had only strengthened their bond, and he felt more connected to Emily than ever before. Over breakfast, Andrew and Emily discussed their plans for the day. They were organizing a community event at the charity store to celebrate the success of their new programs and thank the volunteers and donors who had supported their efforts. "I am excited for today," Emily said. her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "It's going to be a wonderful celebration." Andrew smiled. "I am looking forward to it too. It's a chance to show our appreciation and highlight all the great work we have accomplished." They arrived at the charity store early to set up for the event. The team was already busy decorating and arranging tables for the various activities. As they worked, Andrew felt a deep sense of pride in the community they had built. The event kicked off in the afternoon, and the store was soon filled with people. There were games for the children, food stalls, and live music. The atmosphere was vibrant and joyful, a testament to the positive impact the charity store had made on the community. Andrew and Emily moved through the crowd, greeting guests and thanking them for their support. They were both deeply moved by the outpouring of appreciation and the sense of camaraderie that filled the air. As the event continued, Andrew noticed a familiar face in the crowd. It was Natalie Turner, the daughter of his former boss, William Turner. She approached him with a warm smile. "Andrew, it's so good to see you," Natalie said, giving him a hug. "Natalie, what a surprise. It's great to see you too." "How have you been?" Andrew replied, genuinely pleased to see her. "I've been well, thank you. I've been following the incredible work you and Emily have been doing here." "It is truly inspiring," Natalie said, her admiration evident. Andrew felt a surge of gratitude. "Thank you, Natalie. It means a lot to hear that. How's your father?" Natalie's expression softened. "He is doing well. He sends his regards and his congratulations on your success." As they chatted, Andrew felt a sense of closure. Seeing Natalie and hearing about William brought back memories of his previous life, but it also reminded him of how far he had come. Later in the evening, as the event was winding down, Emily approached Andrew with a curious expression. "Andrew, there is someone here who wants to speak with you. She says it's important." Andrew felt a twinge of curiosity. "Who is it?" Emily pointed to a woman standing near the entrance. Andrew's heart skipped a beat as he recognized her. It was Lauren, his ex-wife. He walked over to her, his emotions a mix of surprise and apprehension. "Lauren, what are you doing here?" Lauren looked nervous but determined. "Andrew, I know this is unexpected, but I needed to talk to you. Can we go somewhere private?" Andrew hesitated but then nodded. "All right, let us step outside." They found a quiet spot away from the crowd, and Lauren took a deep breath. "Andrew, I've been doing a lot of thinking since our divorce. I've realized how much I hurt you and how wrong I was. I'm not here to make excuses. I just want to apologize and ask for your forgiveness." Andrew studied her face, seeing the sincerity in her eyes. "Lauren, it's taken me a long time to move on from what happened. I appreciate your apology, but it's not something that can be fixed with just words." Lauren nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. "I understand. I don't expect you to forgive me right away. I just needed to say it. I am truly sorry for everything." Andrew felt a mixture of relief and sadness. "Thank you for saying that, Lauren. I've found peace and happiness with Emily, and I hope you can find the same for yourself." Lauren smiled through her tears. "I'm glad to hear that, Andrew. You deserve all the happiness in the world." They parted ways on a note of mutual respect, and Andrew felt a sense of closure he hadn't realized he needed. He returned to the event, feeling lighter and more at peace. As the evening drew to a close, Andrew and Emily stood together watching the guests leave. Emily looked at him, her eyes filled with love and understanding. "Are you okay, Andrew?" Andrew nodded, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "I am, Emily. It's been a day of revelations, but I feel more at peace now." Emily hugged him tightly. "I am glad we've come so far, and I am excited for the future we're building together." Andrew kissed her forehead, feeling a profound sense of love and contentment. "Me too, Emily. Me too." The next few days were filled with a sense of renewal. Andrew and Emily continued their work at the charity store, their bond stronger than ever. They knew that challenges would come, but they were ready to face them together. One afternoon, Andrew received a call from William Turner. "Andrew, I've been hearing great things about the work you're doing. I'd like to meet and discuss a potential partnership between my company and your charity." Andrew was thrilled by the prospect. "That sounds fantastic, William. I'd love to meet and discuss it further. They arranged to meet the following week, and Andrew felt a renewed sense of excitement. The partnership could open new doors and provide more resources for their initiatives. When the day of the meeting arrived, Andrew and Emily met with William at his office. The discussion was productive and filled with possibilities. William was impressed by their dedication and vision, and he was eager to support their efforts. As they left the meeting, Emily turned to Andrew with a bright smile. "This is going to be amazing, Andrew. Think of all the people we can help with this partnership." Andrew nodded, feeling the same excitement. "I know, Emily. This is just the beginning." The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of activity. The partnership with William S. Company brought new resources and opportunities, allowing them to expand their programs and reach more people in need. One evening, as they sat together on the porch reflecting on their journey, Andrew turned to Emily with a thoughtful expression. "Emily, I've been thinking about everything we have accomplished and all the challenges we've faced. I wouldn't change a thing. It's brought us to where we are today." Emily smiled, her eyes filled with love. "I feel the same way, Andrew. We've built something beautiful together, and I'm excited for all the possibilities ahead." Andrew took her hand, feeling a deep sense of contentment. "Here's to our future, Emily. Together." "Together," Emily echoed, her voice filled with love and hope. As they sat in the quiet night, Andrew knew that their journey was far from over. There would be more challenges and unexpected turns, but with Emily by his side, he felt ready to face anything. They had built a life filled with love, trust, and endless potential, and he was excited for the future that lay ahead. Chapter 13. A New Dawn. The dawn of a new day brought with it a sense of promise and possibility. Andrew Bennett woke up early, feeling a blend of excitement and anticipation. Today was a significant milestone, the grand opening of their new community center, a project that he and Emily had poured their hearts and souls into over the past months. As he prepared for the day, Andrew reflected on the incredible journey that had brought them to this point. From the turmoil of his past to the love and fulfillment he had found with Emily, every step had been a testament to their resilience and determination. Downstairs, Emily was already bustling about, finalizing details for the opening ceremony. She looked up and smiled as Andrew joined her in the kitchen. "Good morning, love. Ready for the big day?" Andrew leaned in to kiss her. "Absolutely. I can't believe it is finally here." They shared a quick breakfast before heading to the new community center. The building, a beautifully renovated space in the heart of the neighborhood, stood as a beacon of hope and opportunity. It housed classrooms, a food pantry, a health clinic, and spaces for various community activities. As they arrived, volunteers and staff were already setting up for the event. The atmosphere was electric, filled with anticipation and joy. Andrew and Emily moved through the crowd, greeting guests and ensuring everything was in place. Victoria Turner, who had been instrumental in securing funding and resources for the center, approached them with a beaming smile. "Andrew, Emily, congratulations. The place looks amazing." "Thank you, Victoria. We couldn't have done it without your support," Andrew replied, feeling a swell of gratitude. The ceremony began with a series of speeches from community leaders, including William Turner, who spoke about the importance of unity and giving back. Andrew and Emily listened, their hearts full as they saw the impact of their hard work reflected in the faces of the people gathered. When it was Andrew's turn to speak, he took a deep breath and stepped up to the podium. "Thank you all for being here today. This community center is a dream come true, a place where we can come together to support each other and build a brighter future. None of this would have been possible without the dedication and generosity of so many people. We are grateful for each and every one of you." Emily joined him, and together they cut the ribbon, officially opening the center. The crowd erupted in applause, and Andrew felt a deep sense of accomplishment and pride. The rest of the day was a whirlwind of activities and celebrations. Children played in the newly built playground, families explored the center's facilities, and volunteers provided tours and information about the various programs. As the sun began to set, Andrew and Emily found a quiet moment to sit together on a bench outside the center. They watched as people continued to enjoy the festivities, their laughter and joy filling the air. "This is everything we dreamed of, Andrew," Emily said, her voice filled with emotion. "We've created something truly special." Andrew nodded, his heart full. "We have, Emily, and this is just the beginning. There's so much more we can do." Emily leaned her head on his shoulder. "I know, and I am excited for every step of the journey with you." The following weeks were busy as the community center began to thrive. Andrew and Emily worked tirelessly to ensure that the programs ran smoothly and that the needs of the community were met. They faced challenges, but their commitment never wavered. One evening, as they were closing up the center, Andrew received a call from his old friend, Jake. "Andrew, I heard about the community center. Madison and I would love to come and see it." Andrew was thrilled. "That would be fantastic, Jake. We'd love to show you around." A few days later, Jake and Madison visited the center. Andrew and Emily gave them a tour, explaining the various programs and the impact they were having on the community. Jake was visibly impressed. "This is incredible, Andrew. You and Emily have done something truly amazing here." Madison nodded in agreement. "You've created a place of hope and opportunity. It is inspiring." Andrew felt a deep sense of pride. "Thank you, both of you. It means a lot to hear that." As the evening progressed, they sat together in the community garden, enjoying the tranquil atmosphere. Jake turned to Andrew with a thoughtful expression. "Andrew, have you ever thought about expanding this model to other neighborhoods? There are so many communities that could benefit from something like this." Andrew considered Jake's words. "That's a great idea, Jake. We've always envisioned this as a starting point. Maybe it's time to start thinking about how we can replicate this success elsewhere." Emily nodded, her eyes filled with determination. "I agree. We've built a strong foundation here. It's time to start planning for the future." The idea of expanding the Community Center model took root, and Andrew and Emily began to develop a plan. They reached out to other community leaders and organizations, sharing their vision and seeking partnerships. The months that followed were filled with hard work and dedication. They traveled to different neighborhoods, meeting with residents and assessing their needs. Each new center was tailored to the unique characteristics of its community, ensuring that the programs and services were relevant and impactful. As they worked on expanding their model, Andrew and Emily continued to strengthen their bond. Their love for each other and their shared passion for making a difference fueled their efforts. One evening, as they sat together on the porch of their home, Andrew turned to Emily with a smile. "I can't believe how far we've come, Emily. From that first day at the charity store to now, it's been an incredible journey." Emily smiled, her eyes filled with love. "It has, Andrew, and I am so grateful for every moment we've shared. We've built something beautiful together." Andrew took her hand, feeling a deep sense of contentment. "Here's to our future, Emily. Together we can achieve anything." "Together," Emily echoed, her voice filled with love and hope. As they sat in the quiet night, Andrew knew that their journey was far from over. There would be more challenges and unexpected turns, but with Emily by his side, he felt ready to face anything. They had built a life filled with love, trust, and endless potential, and he was excited for the future that lay ahead. The days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months. The new community centers began to thrive, each one a testament to the power of unity and dedication. Andrew and Emily's work continued to touch countless lives, creating a ripple effect of positive change. Their love and partnership grew stronger with each passing day, their commitment to each other and their mission unwavering. They knew that the road ahead would not always be easy, but they were ready to face it together. As they stood on the porch, watching the stars twinkle in the night sky, Andrew and Emily felt a deep sense of fulfillment. They had built something extraordinary, a legacy of love and service that would endure for generations to come. Together, they had faced their darkest moments and emerged stronger, ready to embrace the endless possibilities that lay ahead. Their journey was far from over, but they were confident that as long as they had each other, they could achieve anything. And so, under the starlit sky, Andrew and Emily looked forward to the future with hope and excitement, knowing that their love and dedication would continue to guide them on their incredible journey. Thank you for listening to this story. Subscribe to my channel, put a like under the video, and write a comment about how you like this story and what stories you want to hear.